Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Creating Character Podcast. This is a podcast at the crossroads of life. I don't know any better way to describe it than that. It only took 4 episodes for me to figure that out. I am here to talk about everything that has come before and everything that will come after with Scorpio Sky.
I think I'm cute.
Okay.
I know I'm sexy.
It was the best intro it was the best intro we had, bar none.
I don't know why that's in my head right now.
I know why, because it's awesome
Just
song.
a sexy boy.
Wasn't that wasn't it Jimmy Hart?
It was Jimmy Hart
Doing the high voice in it.
I didn't know that until maybe like a week or so ago.
Are you serious?
On Instagram.
I think maybe we.
Sexy boy.
But this is the kind of thing where you saw it on Instagram, I saw it on Instagram, which means anyone could have put it out there on Instagram and it could not be true.
So true.
So who knows?
So true.
Here to verify what is true and what isn't true is also producer Eric Badur.
Hi. Very excited to be here. Really excited to be back for another episode. Episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
We are nipping at the heels of what we had done previously.
Closing in on double digits.
That's
How many episodes did
absolutely
we have
incredible.
before? Do we remember?
I think we had a good amount because
Like 30 or something.
We were
right?
knocking
Somewhere
them
right
out.
around
We
that.
had a lot.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
had a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
We were good.
most of them we don't remember.
Don't
Yeah.
remember. I was
Whatever.
so
But-
drunk
Knocking
and
them out.
high. No, I'm just
The
kidding.
thing that we did a lot there was having guests on, which I do hope that we can start doing
Yeah,
for this show.
We
That would
will.
be nice.
We're going to have guests.
yeah.
We are going to have guests.
People
Just
are
gotta find the
tired
right
of hearing
people.
about us talking about ourselves, that they want to hear us talk about ourselves to other people. We want to have
That's
guests
right.
on, not ask them anything about themselves, and then go, so what do you think? Do you think a power slam would be a good finisher for me? Is that you think that I would be able to pull that off? What about on the big guys? Should I have a submission
Yeah,
back
what am I
up?
going to do to the big guys? I got to have something you can do to everybody.
yeah.
James, what do you use as a finish?
It is a fisherman buster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because in training, I found out that I had a pretty good vertical suplex, and I said, and they were like, "You could just use that as your. It's so good, you could use it as a finisher." And I went, "I can't just do a vertical suplex as a finisher." And they were like, "Well, maybe a brain buster." I was like, "A brain buster as a these are basic moves. If you're playing the video games, you wouldn't even have to hold B to execute them. That's a light tap on B." I was like, "Heavens no!" And I went, "But if I hook the leg,
Oh.
now." It's something. So that's what I did.
Sky, do you ever wish that you had a different finish? Are you happy with yours?
I'm happy with my finish. I've been using the TKO for forever, and I think it looks good.
But you
Looks
used
great.
a submission for a little bit too.
I've always switched it up.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, I learned from Chris Jericho even before I met him that, like, you know, having different finishers and switching things up, and I think it's good because then your false finishes actually mean something, because it's like, oh, I've seen him beat someone with that before.
Yeah.
So when I first started wrestling, my finishing move was a drop kick. Like, I'd whip them to the ropes and drop kick them, and then I'd flip and land on top of them.
Oh, okay.
And then
Whoa.
I did that like perfect, like once or twice, and then every one of them after was kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck that. Like, it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
because it's like sometimes you land on top of them, sometimes you kind of like you get
Yeah.
them with your arm or something. So it was just like, okay, I need something that's going to be super clean. And then for a while I was using the triangle choke back in the early days. And then eventually I settled in on the TKO.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So yeah, but I've used a number of different things over the years.
Yeah.
TKO is pretty consistent though.
That's cool. Yeah. My backup is a clover leaf.
That's a good one.
That I do a spine buster into a clover leaf
Ooh.
as my potential. This person's too big to lift over my
Yeah.
head with a fisherman buster, and to match a different way. But I call it the biblically accurate clover leaf. So yeah,
The good old Dean Molinko.
it's great. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Dino Machino.
Yeah.
Um,
Eric, go ahead.
We talked a little bit about, James, you had a trip recently.
James
And as much
tripping.
as you don't want to talk about it, I want to hear about it.
No, I'm fine. I'm
I wanna
happy
hear
to
about
talk
it,
about
too.
my
Yeah.
trip.
I
I
know you
just
wanna keep
wasn't
it secret,
sure
but come on.
how much anyone else would want to hear about my trip. But then as we were preparing for this episode, we kind of had a discussion, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess there's something."
Yeah,
from
yeah.
this.
And we can always ask the audience. You guys want to hear about the trip? Yeah, this will be great. Yeah, I want to hear it. Yeah, that's great. I love your shoes. Yeah, okay, there we go.
There it is. They love it.
They love it.
Thanks,
They're big
audience.
fans.
I'm
man.
glad that we
Thank you,
set up
guys.
that thing to get the microphones to the audience.
Oh,
that
yeah.
sits right off camera.
Live studio audience.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went on a week-long trip, and this was something I was supposed to do a couple years ago that got delayed. To Curaçao, and
say that again.
Curaçao.
Curaçao.
Is that how you say it?
So Curaçao. That's a great question. Curaçao is how my father has always pronounced it.
Oh no.
But I went there, and several people that lived there said Curaçao.
Curaçao. Okay.
So I don't know that there's any consensus other if it's more Hispanic R with the Cuda
Mhm.
or if it's a Kura. It doesn't seem to be consistent. So I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
They would know.
But it's also a huge merger of cultures over there. So it might be, if you're saying it with their language, it's more, maybe it sounds more like one or the other.
Mm.
So I don't know. But either way, yes,
Why
Eric.
was this a trip that you like? It was like put off for years or whatever. But why were you going?
So my father was born in New York City. But his father was born in Curaçao, and basically grew up there, and then eventually moved to New York, and that's where he met his wife, my grandmother, who was from Puerto Rico, and they got together and had a bunch of kids, including my dad. And but it's only interesting in the context of me having kind of lived my whole life as white passing, like. My perception of myself is that I'm like the whitest looking dude ever.
Got a good tan though.
I tan easily, which is like maybe an indicator of my ancestry, but like I feel like I come across, and also as someone with a public profile, like I've always been like pigeonholed as like, oh, there's a white dude, right? I have blue eyes and I have light skin. And
All right, hold on. Let me do a quick little test.
Okay,
Let's see
great.
how white you are.
I mean, I'm gonna pass.
If I'm inviting you to a party,
Yeah.
what's the first question you're gonna ask?
What time does it begin?
It's all white.
So
Sorry, continue.
So, Eric's dying. This is somehow worse than the last one. We've gone through.
Eric is. I'm sorry.
No.
Please continue.
No, thank you.
These are your roots. I'm just making jokes.
No,
and
it's totally
doing
fine.
bits
But
over
like,
here.
I mean, I don't really like. You don't know. I don't know. Like, I grew up in a suburban middle class household in North Carolina. Right. So like I knew I had parents from New York, so they didn't sound like everyone. They didn't sound like the Southern people around me. And so I knew there was a difference there, but I never really understood. And then my dad, obviously, like he grew up in like a Spanish speaking home and everything like that. But when he moved, he didn't want to speak Spanish to his kids growing up because he didn't want my mom to feel isolated or excluded in any way. And so I didn't really have this connection. I just knew that when we would go to visit family, he had a ton of family. And you don't ever think about how much they don't look like you. You just go, oh yeah, that's my Titi Ani and my Titi Milta. And I thought my grandmother's name, I thought her name was Abuela. And it wasn't until I went to Spanish class in like elementary school that I went, oh. But that's the thing. You don't know. You just only have the context that you're given. All of that to set up that this was a trip that my dad really wanted us to go on because he hadn't been able to share kind of that part of his life with us, whether intentionally or unintentionally. But he really wanted to take his family there. And so that's what this trip was. And it ended up being really awesome and like provided a lot of kind of context for me, weirdly. Like I was like, oh, I'll go. I'm excited to go, but this is like a tropical place, so maybe I'll do some snorkeling or like, you know, like, but a lot of it was like walking around. I was like, oh my gosh, this place is like such a multicultural hub. Like it makes sense. Everyone goes, how can you be Hispanic? You have blue eyes, which is a stupid question.
Yeah,
But it is one of those things where how do I put you in a bucket? How do I determine what you are and put you in that bucket?
For
You
sure.
have blue eyes. But you go, oh, it's because the Dutch came here hundreds of years ago and started taking over the place. Like it's a Dutch colony. So technically it's part of the Netherlands.
Wow.
Even though it's in the Caribbean. It's an island right above Venezuela. And it has a huge history, honestly, with the West African slave trade. It was like a major hub for that too.
Wow.
So it became this like huge cultural mishmash of stuff there. And without trying to sound too lame, at 41, I was like, oh my gosh, like this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, not necessarily ever trying to put myself into a bucket, but never being able to, even if I tried, I was like, well, how could I?
Right.
Like if I come from here, technically, like how could I ever put myself in a bucket? And so while I did go snorkeling, I did do all that cool stuff. I also was like walking around and be like, oh my gosh, like this is like crazy. Like,
Is there any family still over there?
yeah, I met family that I had never
Wow.
never
That's-
met
that's
before.
dope.
I have
That's
this
dope.
old black and white photo that my dad had saved of his father sitting in front of this house, and we went there. It's still there. And so I have a photo of his porch, him on the porch. There's one city. It's called Willemstad, which is
Willemstad.
my name.
Isn't that your name?
Yeah. So my name is James Willems, and the city is called Willemstad.
Holy cow. And then
Yeah.
Hold up. Are you a prince?
I don't have anything to prove it. I think it's the opposite.
What?
What's the opposite of a prince?
That I'm
pr-
sure
you're
if
a
we
princess?
no, I'm sure that if we went back far enough,
Like,
someone
your
in my
pauper?
family was owned by.
oh.
So we were we were
Wow.
thinking about it, and my dad's been trying to do this genealogy ancestry
Whoa.
testing and stuff like that. We don't have the records to go that far back, and but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it was because we were Willems.
Oh my.
Now, I did not expect this
Yeah.
episode to go this way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm very
Holy,
surprised.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
that's
suppose
crazy. That is crazy.
what I'm getting at.
What an
That's
origin
insane.
story.
It's pretty wild. And again, I don't. Now I'm on the side of it too. I'm like, I'm not gonna claim any of that because like I grew up middle class. Like I didn't have to deal with any of that. I remember when I was applying for colleges and stuff, my dad was like, well, do you want to like apply for scholarships? Like technically you're eligible for some of these scholarships. And I was like, no, I don't think so, because I don't think I endured any of like these are for people who have had to deal with the hardship. Now I'm in this weird situation where I'm like, I think there's a certain thing claiming it, but then also understanding like where you are and how far removed you are from that. There's a school there with a mural on it, and it's the Colegio de Chaya Willems. And that's like my great aunt.
wow.
And there's a mural of her. I've never met her, but she was a school teacher, and she made such an impact on this school in Willemstad that they have a mural to her, and she's like my
Wow.
great aunt.
That's
And
incredible.
it was really, really wild to do this trip. Again, the snorkeling was also a lot of fun.
Gotta get the snorkeling.
But it's one of those things where you're like reaffirms like why would you try and put yourself into a bucket anyway? Because it's such a mishmash, and like we're all pieces of so many different things. So like what this podcast is like, wow, I literally walked into the past. Looked kind of where I came from, and now I'm like, I guess I have to sort out where I'm going from here with this new information, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an experience that you're never gonna forget. You
Yeah.
know, and like, I love that you were able to go do that, because that's my mind is blown. I can only imagine how you feel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to process it, and I'm also not trying to put too much emphasis, because I'm like, well, this doesn't change anything. I can still come home, and I still need to like pay rent, you know, like still
for
need to get
sure,
a
for
job,
sure.
still need to do stuff like this.
But it's amazing to know
I'm-
like where you're from and what your culture is.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
grateful for it, right?
Mhm.
Like, because it's a part of how I got here, regardless of anything else, right? So it's cool. It was a really, and I'm really grateful to my dad for being like, let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's make this trip happen. So it was really fun. Really cool.
As Sonny Kiss used to say, I love that for you.
Oh.
Shout out to Sonny Kiss.
Shout out Sonny Kiss.
I'm also white passing. My grandpa's Mexican from Mexico, immigrated here, and it was always really nice at Rooster Teeth when we worked there. They would always reach out during like Latin American History Month and all that stuff, and they would be like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? And I'd be like, I really appreciate being asked. This can't be the face of what the diversification and trying to get more like Latino voices heard. It was always nice to be asked, but I had to say no. For like what you're saying about the scholarships thing, I always said no because of that.
So I want to add on to this because this is another interesting point for me. Eric and I, we worked at the same company that he's referring to. I was never asked. And it did bug me.
No
it did
way,
bother
you were
me.
never asked?
I was never, ever considered for any of that because I would probably feel similar to you, which is like, listen, you don't put me on the posters. Like, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help, but don't put me on the posters, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would rather raise up voices that are dealing with this now, right? But I was never asked.
That's
and it
crazy.
really did bother me.
You know, I don't know why it makes me think of this. Is a couple years ago at one of these the wrestling, events next to a pay-per-view, they were doing like a cultural event for where like, some of the Black and Latino talent would get together and they would talk to the audience. And I was invited to be a speaker. And I think Frankie Kazarian was either invited or they asked him like, oh, do you want to go up and speak or something?
Yeah.
And he was like,
I don't know, maybe. Where's he from?
He's like, and he was similar to what you guys said. Like, I can't do it. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
But he like couldn't.
Yeah,
I don't know why they thought.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a hell of a tan.
Yeah.
But like,
he just stands at the podium and he goes, I have thoughts.
Yeah. The guy that I always look to that I feel like is similar to what me and James are talking about is Cody.
Oh yeah.
He has a similar background, and I don't know that you get more white passing than Cody Rhodes, but I think that he is proud to represent, but understands the position
for sure.
Of exactly what we're saying.
Both can be true, right?
Yes.
Both, it can be a part of who you are, and it can also be something that like you don't feel like you have to go, all right, whose space can I take this from? Right?
Yeah, no
like,
kidding.
Like,
oh man.
So I think both can be true, but I was never asked. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. Before we started this episode, we were talking about wanting to talk about James Tripp and sort of this stuff. And Sky, you were talking about being in Memphis, and you're like 4 hours. What was that? What was that about?
Oh yeah, it was like Memphis. And whenever I'm close to Mississippi, which is where my my mom's side is from, I'm always kind of like searching, oh, how close am I to this? Because I want to go visit where my mom grew up, and I haven't been since I was a kid. And basically, like my mom's side, my family, it was basically the Beverly Hillbillies. Like, but
right.
they didn't get rich.
So wait, hold on. So they were just hillbillies.
So my mom grew up on a farm in Liberty, Mississippi. This little town. And my grandparents had 8 kids, and I mean, it was farm life. Like, if you want chicken, you go out in your backyard, you grab a chicken and snap it and do it, do the whole deal. Around the time my mom was a teenager, they kind of upped and moved across the country to Compton, California, and set up shop there. And they did it kind of gradually over a few years, where it was like, okay, 2 kids go and 2 more kids. But yeah, I mean, like I said, aside from the oil, we didn't get rich. That's the origin for me. And I went to the farm when I was a kid. Now they sold it when my grandfather passed, and my grandmother has since passed as well. But I went to the farm when I was a kid, and I want to go back now as an adult. Like, I think about it a lot. Hopefully, I'll get to do it. I'm going to New Orleans soon, and I'd with my family, and I'd love to make a drive to go see the land and just kind of like walk the dirt and experience it. And because, I mean, I do remember going as a kid. I remember like I pet a dog and a dog like started barking at me, and I ran off and I was all scared. And then my grandfather just very, very Southern man. He's like, I'm gonna kill that dog.
he barked.
He's like, I'm gonna kill that dog.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I mean, Beverly Hillbillies, man.
Wow. Do you
Yeah.
know what prompted the change? Why they were like, let's move to
Probably just getting out of the South.
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
this is like the late 60s, early 70s. Yeah, probably late 60s. Yeah, because
Mhm.
I guess my mom was a teenager and she was born in 51. So yeah,
Mhm.
late 60s, you know, probably a great time to get out of the South
Yeah,
and
yeah.
come to California,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
even if it's Compton, like, which wasn't as bad back then, obviously.
No,
you know,
but
like,
new opportunity and
new opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to just being there. It's like I never met my grandfather, but when you go like this is where he grew up. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is crazy. You know?
Yeah, learning. I love hearing stories about my family. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's something to it. It doesn't change your life, but it does.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of just understand things better, and you feel a little bit more proud of your culture and your heritage and your family in general. You
Mhm.
know, it's really, really important. And I think I take that with me a lot more today, especially now that both of my parents are gone. Like, I think back to like, man, like I see this video on TikTok all the time, and it would be like, is your dad still around? Or like, is your mom still around? You should get him this book. And it's called like, Mom, Tell Me Your Story. And it's just like a book with blank pages. And I'm always like, man, like, I wish I could have got that from my mom. Like, I heard a lot, but there's probably so many more stories I could have. Like, my mom was a singer.
Mhm.
You know, she stopped
wow.
she's very successful, actually. She sang a little backup for Barry White.
Oh, wow.
She
Whoa.
did some stuff. She had songs on.
Do you
the
have
shows.
recordings of that?
I have some of her later stuff that she
Mhm.
did, you know, like later in life.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, she was a really good, actually, and then she stopped not long after I was born. I do remember seeing her perform, I think in Mississippi on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, just hearing about your past and where you come from, like I said, it doesn't change your life, but it really does in a way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, it's like spiderwebs of humanity too, because you're like, if you can connect this to this, you know, how large was your mom's family? Was it a big family?
Yeah, it's a big family.
Okay,
Big
yeah.
family.
Because
there's
my
a lot
dad,
of-
my dad was the youngest of 9.
They had so many kids back then.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
My mom was one of 8.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, because it's like, hey, it's hot. What are we gonna do?
Diapers weren't very as expensive back
Yeah, I
then.
guess.
Right? It's like,
My dad also had all these old photos of like, remember this person you met yesterday for the first time, who's a grown woman now? Here's me when I was 11 years old, and here's her when she's like a toddler, you know, or
Wow.
something like that. And
That's
so
crazy.
my thing was like, I need you to digitize those photos.
yes.
I need you to get them. If you haven't already, digitize everything, and then we're gonna sit on a phone call, and I'm gonna label them. This was all my like paternal side of it too. So like, I don't really know much about my grandmother on that side either. Like, she was from Puerto Rico, and I don't know anything about that, and I don't think they have as much a connection to that place as they did to Curaçao. But like, I was like, okay, well, now you need to sit me down and tell me all about that.
And now you
Like,
gotta go to
know,
Puerto Rico.
I want to do this too. So it's
You can snorkel in Puerto Rico, I'm
it's
sure.
All
better,
right.
yeah. Yeah. But then, yeah, taking that and then figuring out where to go from there. What do you do with that information?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't even think that's something you have to actively do. I think you're just sort of is creating character, right?
Mhm.
Like the show. You're
Boom.
sort of like you're just filling in your backstory a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's not anything you have to actively do with that, but I think it's important to know, like, your character or whatever. Like, if you're wrestling, it informs decisions and it informs who you are and why you're doing, like, your motivations. And I think having any kind of background like that, I think people are probably jealous that you're able to go back and do that, because a lot of people, I think, probably wish they could
Yeah.
and can't. Don't have.
I love the way
ability.
you like brought that back to the show.
Yeah.
Man, you're a great coach.
Nice job.
You're a great coach. You're the point guard.
Okay.
You know,
I'll take that.
I'm the shooting guard.
Okay.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it was
And
a
I'm-
great coach.
Because we're
I mean,
very
Pat Riley.
understaffed
Hey, Pat
team.
Riley.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But, like, old Pat Riley who is insane.
Oh, Pat Riley now.
Yeah. Heard Pat Riley. I got a problem with everyone. Yeah, I'm gonna blow
you know
this
what, James?
up.
I'm always trying to get you into the Lakers.
I know.
You know what you need to watch
What?
is Winning Time.
Oh, it's
Oh
so
yeah, I watched the
good.
first episode of Winning Time.
So
What is that
good.
on? Is that on Max?
Max, I believe.
It's called HBO Max.
Oh yeah, sorry, HBO Max,
HBO
now.
Max.
Yeah,
Is
it
it- is
created a new character for
Did it
itself.
switch back?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're switching it back.
Oh.
So it was HBO Go, then it was HBO Now, then it
Uh-huh.
was HBO Max.
Yes.
Then Max.
Max.
Now HBO
Yep.
Max again.
Sponsor us.
They owned
Watch it.
our company and then said, we don't want to help pay for this anymore.
Oh.
And then I think all that money went to changing the name back
Oh.
to HBO Max.
Ouch.
My only issue with Winning Time is it killed the friendship between Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. Apparently.
Yes, it did.
Oh yeah, it
I
did.
saw
That
that.
does suck.
Mhm.
But
That does
I've
suck.
been
It's
meaning to
such a
watch it.
good show, though. You have
It's
to
so
watch
good.
is that going to make me interested in Lakers now, though?
I mean, I think in the history of it's such a historical franchise.
Mhm.
I think it would be cool to. So the first thing is, it's based off of a book,
Okay.
and it sucks that the show was canceled because they were going to continue it. The same guy that wrote that book also wrote a book on the Kobe and Shaq era
Yep.
of the Lakers,
Mm.
and they wanted to take Winning Time all the way to that era, which would have been
Gotcha.
awesome. But
Yeah.
I mean, just anything that will connect you to the franchise is such an amazing franchise.
Yep.
With a storied history, and it's kind of a fun way to kind of get your feet wet.
Okay. All right.
It's great. It's really awesome.
One
And
of the
they-
best documentaries I've ever seen is the Chicago Bulls 30 for 31. What is that one called?
Is it the Michael Jordan one?
The Michael Jordan one.
Oh yeah,
They're-
Last Dance.
The Last
Yeah.
Dance.
So good.
Incredible.
It's like one of the best things I've ever seen.
It's so good.
Yeah. I think you'd like Winning Time. I think that you'll like how cartoonish it gets.
Mhm.
Yes.
Larry Bird is a villain in a way where they could only make him more dastardly if he shot the dog that barked at Sky.
Oh wow.
The only way they could make him more of
Wow.
a villain. It's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
He's great. He's
Yeah.
great. The
Yeah.
casting is
Oh, it's
on
awesome.
point. On
Yeah.
point. To the owner of the Lakers, Jeannie Buss,
Mhm.
said she would watch the show just because John C. Reilly reminded her so much because he's passed away. Her
Mhm.
dad's passed away. She would watch the show because he reminded her so much of her dad. It just made her feel like she was seeing her
Yeah.
dad again.
Wow.
Mhm.
It's amazing. We got to
wild.
get Jeannie Buss on the show.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's the goal.
Is that a
Okay.
possibility?
I
a
think
remote
it
possibility?
could be. I talked to her at one point when I had the championship.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
You know, I
Yeah.
said, I told her I called this belt Jeannie. I hope that's okay. And she's like, I'm honored. That's great. Like, let's get her on the show. We'll bring the belt. Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Come on, Jeannie.
That was a great.
If anybody, I haven't talked to her since then.
yeah.
I was
All
about to say I haven't talked to her in years, as if we ever had like some type of
yeah.
consistent conversation.
Yeah.
We had one talk, which was
About a belt.
all of maybe 10 seconds long. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
might have only been three
But it
messages.
made an impression. It made an impression. She
Yeah.
talked to 45 people that hour, but yours really stuck.
Well,
Yeah,
we didn't create a character this week.
we did. We
Other
created
than the both
Blue,
of you.
well, we can toss out a character right now. Blue Curaçao.
Blue Curaçao.
Blue Curaçao.
Whoa.
It's a masked. It's a luchador
Definitely.
wrestler.
Definitely.
But when you look at him, you're like, that's a white guy. He's got a mask on and everything, and he comes out to like marimba, but like when you see him, you go, I don't know. That looks like a white guy. His eyes look pretty light.
It's a real.
That's a drink, right?
Yeah, Blue Curaçao,
Yeah.
the liquor.
I did a character once. There's a show out here in LA called Lucha Vavoom,
Mhm.
and El Jimador Tequila was the sponsor of the show.
Okay.
And they reached out to the company and they said, we want to have our own wrestler. And so they chose me. So I was a luchador and I had a mask and a cape and my name was El Jimador.
Wow.
And so they were like, well, what song do you want to come out to? I said, I want to come out to Tequila.
Yep.
Right? So I would come
Yeah,
out and I would dance. I'd do like the Pee Wee Herman and I'd
Amazing.
shake my butt. And like it got super over and they loved me. They would pay me to come to like their business meetings and just stand there in
Wait,
my
hold
gear.
on.
Yeah.
Like in their conferences?
In their actual offices.
As
They
they're
would pay
going
me.
through slides?
They would book me
Okay.
to come just
And you're
stand
just-
in an outfit at like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And they're doing their business meeting. They took me to the Latin Grammys.
What?
I went to the
Wow.
Latin Grammys in a tux and the mask, and everyone's coming up to me speaking Spanish, and I'm just like, "See,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
like, yeah,
You
Wow.
got
Jimador, man.
you got El Generico'd.
Yeah,
That's boy.
I lived that
wow.
life for years.
Wow.
It was great.
That's
it was so good.
incredible. I wonder what made them stop. I wonder what changed. Where they said we can't do this any
We
longer.
can't keep
Once they
doing it.
realized that they were just burning cash for their own personal amusement.
That's what got me into tequila.
Wow.
Tequila
okay,
Sky?
so it
Yeah,
worked.
that's what got me into tequila.
Okay. Well, that's what Blue Curaçao is. He fights for the distillery that makes Blue
Yeah.
Curaçao.
Man.
The
But
honor of the distillery and stuff like that.
His entrance song, it's tequila, but instead of tequila, they say Curaçao.
Have you guys seen those TikToks where people or guys will like call their friend and say, "I just called to say goodnight"?
Oh,
I've seen
yeah.
a couple of them.
You
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
those are great.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do it.
Do it.
Should we do it
I'm
on
not
this
going to stop
show?
you.
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
call
it's 7:30 p.m.
Yeah,
It's a
let's see.
reasonable time. I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on where you're calling.
A reasonable bedtime. Who
I'm
you
gonna
thinking about calling?
call- Maybe I'll call Willie Mack. Let's call Willie Mack.
And you're just going to be like, hey, I just want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
See how
Just put
this
him on
goes. We'll
speaker?
Put him on speaker.
And then make sure it's just right up. There you go.
Watch
Hold
out.
on, baby.
It's chilling, getting ready to shut down, and so, I just want to call you, tell you good night.
Oh, okay.
Just want to say good night. Sleep tight.
All right, baby.
Cool, man. I hope everything's good with you.
Mine's all right.
You be good, man.
Good night, Willie.
Good night, Willie. Oh boy, was that audio good or not good?
It worked.
I think it got most of it. He was like, thanks.
Yeah,
I
that was not
appreciate
that was
Thanks for calling.
that was not the reaction that people on TikTok get.
No, he's like, thanks.
It's like, oh,
appreciate-
okay, thanks, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Good night to
Yeah,
you too.
yeah, have a good-
You sleep well.
Great
as well.
dreams.
Yeah. Make sure you get all 8. I'm like, wow, yeah, he's just a good dude.
Yeah, wow. That was a good call.
I love Willie. I thought Willie's he doesn't do it as much anymore, but for years he's just to call you, just to talk
I
kind of
love
guy.
that. I
You
love
just
that.
call, be like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, what's going? Like for me, when
Yeah.
people call, I think there's
Something's up.
Do you want to talk? What's going on? Something's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on, man? Nothing. Something with you.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, I'm just getting ready to go to the gym, whatever. I go, shh, chilling, cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, he just called just to talk.
Yeah,
I love it.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wild.
Willie's funny, man.
Wild. All right,
for him.
James, wrap this thing up. Take us out.
I don't know how I can wrap it up better than Willie Mack just did. So shout out to Willie Mack. Thank you, Sky, for letting me tell you about where I'm from. And,
I appreciate you sharing. It was
Yeah.
great to hear.
and thank you for everyone listening. Eric, thank you for insisting that I tell that story.
I told you it's great.
I did kind of frame it in a really cool way though, too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with you, man.
Tell us, I mean, if anyone in the comments has stories, similar stories that they were like, yeah, I didn't really know what was going on, and I found out this piece of my history that didn't shock my whole world, but kind of gave me insight into myself maybe later on in life. I think that's really interesting. Please share those comments with us. And in the meantime, follow us wherever you like to listen to this podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and tell a friend.
Tell everyone good night.
And I also just want to say good night.
They see me walk.
What?
The
Hey,
audio
he sat on the
listeners are like,
headphones.
what
He
happened?
sat on the
It's like